Namaskar, welcome to Ekaksha. I am Nipa Das and today I will start the first English lesson of class 9 and the name of the chapter is The Fun They Had. মৰমৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল আজি আমি নৱম শ্ৰেণীৰ ইংৰাজীৰ প্ৰথম পাঠটি আলোচনা কৰিম Before we start, let me ask you a few questions. Students, do you love going to school? I'm sure you do. And why do you love going to school? That's because you meet your friends there, isn't it? তোমালোকে স্কুললৈ গৈ ভাল পোৱা কাৰণ তাত তোমালোকৰ বন্ধু-বান্ধৱীক লগ পোৱা, you meet your friends, isn't it? So now I want you to remember the COVID or the Corona days during the lockdown period when you had to stay at home, the schools were closed. Try to recall those days. দিনবোৰ মনত পেলোৱাচোন তেতিয়া তোমালোকৰ স্কুল বন্ধ হৈ গৈছিলে কোভিডৰ সময়ত তোমালোকে ঘৰতে আছিলা so how did you feel I'm sure initially you must have been very happy you must have thought oh it's great now I can stay at home I can eat I can have a lot of fun I can enjoy and I don't have to study so initially প্ৰথমে চাগে তোমালোকে ভাবিছিলা যে ভালেই হ'ল এতিয়া ঘৰতে থাকিম খুব ফূৰ্তি কৰিম খাম ফূৰ্তি কৰিম ন খেলিম আৰু তো পঢ়িবও নালাগে চাগে এইদৰে তোমালোকে ভাবিছিলা but as time passed লাহে লাহে সময় পাৰ হৈ গ'ল then I'm sure you started missing your friends the games that you played with your friends in the school the lunch break or the tiffin break time when you shared your lunch with your friends you went to the playground to play different kinds of games the co-curricular activities maybe you even started missing your teachers okay হয়নে লাহে লাহে তোমালোকে কি তোমালোকৰ ফ্ৰেণ্ডছক মিছ কৰা ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰিলা তেহেতৰ লগত তোমালোকে খেলিছিলা হয়নে খেলপথাৰত গৈ খেলিছিলা টিফিন টাইমত টিফিন শ্বেয়াৰ কৰি খাইছিলা তোমালোকৰ ছাৰ বাইদেউসকলকো মনত পৰিলে so I'm sure you started missing your friends and you started missing your school but gradually there was a transformation এটা চেঞ্জ আহিল কি চেঞ্জ হ'ল যে আমি লাহে লাহে অনলাইন ক্লাছ ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰিলো হয়নে do you remember so we started taking classes with the help of Zoom or Google Meet বা Zoom ব্যৱহাৰ কৰি আমি অনলাইন ক্লাছ ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰিলো even we were surprised it was quite unimaginable আমিও কল্পনাই কৰিব পৰা নাছিলো that we would have to take classes that way যে এইদৰে আমি ক্লাছ কৰিব লাগিব but slowly আমি adjust হৈ গলো লাহে লাহে আমি adjust হৈ গলো হয়নে so you started your online classes ঘৰতে বহি তোমালোকে ল্যাপটপ বা কিছুমানে মোবাইল ব্যৱহাৰ কৰি ক্লাছ কৰিলা but তোমালোকে এটা তুলনা কৰাচোন try to compare তোমালোকৰ কি বেছি ভাল লাগে যে স্কুলত গৈ বন্ধু-বান্ধৱীৰ লগত একেলগে বহি ন হাঁহি ফূৰ্তি কৰি কথা পাতি একেলগে বহি তেনেকে ক্লাছ কৰি ভাল লাগে নে ঘৰত বহি মোবাইল চাই ক্লাছ কৰি ভাল লাগে so what do you like more going to school okay playing laughing talking with your friends sitting with your friends in the classroom listening to your teachers the way they teach you do you like that more or do you like staying at home and studying with the help of online classes তোমালোকৰ কি ভাল লাগে কোৱাচোন এনে ধৰণৰ প্ৰশ্ন কিছুমান আমাৰ মনলৈ আহে and when we read this lesson তেতিয়াও আমাৰ এই ধৰণৰ প্ৰশ্ন কিছুমান মনলৈ আহিব okay যেতিয়া পঢ়িবা তেতিয়া গম পাবা and ইয়াতে the main character of this story the main মানে character হৈছে দুগৰাকী এগৰাকী হৈছে Margie she is a girl and Tommy a boy they are the main characters of this story আৰু there is a difference between your school and their school তোমালোকৰ স্কুল আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ স্কুলৰ মাজত কিছু পাৰ্থক্য আছে এতিয়া নকওঁ বাৰু it's a surprise once we read the lesson you will get to know but before we start let me introduce you to the writer of this prose piece The writer is Isaac Asimov. He was an American writer and considered one of the big three science fiction writer. Fiction মানে কাল্পনিক story, science মানে তেখেতে science related কিছুমান কাল্পনিক story লিখিছিল. And this story is also about science fiction. It is set in the future. ভৱিষ্যতৰ এটা কাহিনী যে ভৱিষ্যতে আমাৰ স্কুলবোৰ কেনে হ'ব পাৰে, কি ধৰণে আমি পঢ়া শুনা কৰিব পাৰোঁ, সেই ধৰণৰ কিছুমান কথা তোমালোকে আজি গম পাবা. And it's very interesting. So before we read, let us discuss a few things. The story we shall read is set in the future. So I have already told you the story that we are going to read today is set in the future. তাৰমানে এইটো ভৱিষ্যতৰ কাহিনী, এতিয়াৰ কথা নহয়, 100-200 বছৰ পিছত কি হ'ব সেই ধৰণৰ এটা কাহিনী. When books and schools as we now know them will perhaps not exist. And in this story, once we read it, we will get to know that the books that we read today will not exist. It may not exist. How will children study then? তেনেহ'লে ল'ৰা ছোৱালীবোৰে কেনেদৰে পঢ়িব? How will they study? So এই ধৰণৰ প্ৰশ্ন আমাৰ মনলৈ আহিছে, হয়নে? So let us see how the students in the future might study. তেওঁলোকেনো কেনেধৰণে পঢ়িব পাৰে? So let us see schools of the future. তাৰমানে ভৱিষ্যতৰ বিদ্যালয় কেনে হ'ব পাৰে? চোৱাচোন, learning through computers. No, computer সহায় লৈ পঢ়া শুনা কৰিব পাৰে, হয়নে? এইটোতো তোমালোকে জানাই, because even you use computers at school. বহুতে তোমালোকে স্কুলত কম্পিউটাৰ ইউজ কৰা, so এই বিষয়টো তোমালোকে জানাই. Then virtual classroom. So what is a virtual classroom? ফটোখনলৈ চোৱা, virtual classroom is not a real classroom. Real classroom মানে কি? এটা শ্ৰেণী কোঠা, হয়নে? Where all the students, they sit together inside a room, a classroom, and the teacher, human teacher, comes to teach them. So that is a real classroom, according to us. The virtual classroom to চোৱা, ছোৱালীজনী অকলে বহি আছে ৰুমত, হয়নে? So there is a desktop computer, তাৰ সন্মুখত আছে screen. চোৱা, there is a smart board, camera আছে, printer ase, and lot of electronic gadgets, and a robotic teacher dehisane. So that is a virtual classroom. And look at the other picture, robotic teacher. So bhabisyote ki we might not have human teacher. Manuhe onoporhabo pare, tar thait ki hobo, there could be robotic teacher. Robots tumaloke dehisai, you must have heard about AI, artificial intelligence these days. This topic is very popular. Elon Musk or tumaloke robots pur dekhisai. So maybe in the future, the robotic teacher will replace the human teacher. Now, there's another, moving e-text. Moving e-text means a tally book. Tumalokor kitabkhon kenekwa? It's a printed one. Kagozot print hoi thake, hoine? In the future, they will only have moving e-text. That means the words will move on the screen. Screenot words pur eneke ki move kori thakibo aru tate tahati porhibo. Okay, aru so this is about the future. Say future bhabisyote ei dhorone lora choliye schoolot sage pohibo he buli authore bhabise, likhoke bhabise, aru amiyo bhabisu. Aru yare ei story tor main character moi tomaloko koisu, Margie aru Tommy. Etia teolukenu keneke pohe ahasun ami sao. So e janiboloi we have to read the lesson. So let's get started. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. So Margie is the main character. So she wrote something in her diary that night. Hedna rati thai diary kiba tha likhile. তোমালোকে ডায়েৰী মানে কি জানাই, হয়নে? ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট ইভেণ্টছবোৰ দিনত কি হ'ল, মানুহে কিছুমান মানুহে কি ডায়েৰীত সেইবোৰ ৰেকৰ্ড কৰি থয় বা লিখি থয়, দিনটোত কি হ'ল, হয়নে? So even Margie wrote about an incident in her diary. On the page headed 17th May 2157. So look at the date. Date to swasun 17 May 2157. And etia ki? Etia hoise 20, 25. হয়নে? So it is almost 132 years ahead of our time. এইটো কি ভৱিষ্যতৰ story. কিমান বছৰ পিছৰ কথা? 132 years. Okay? So the date is 17th May 2157. ইমান বছৰ মানে in the future ভৱিষ্যতে কি হ'ব? So তাই ডায়েৰীত এটা কথা লিখিছে. What did she write? What did Margie write? She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." So Margie wrote in her diary on the page headed 17th May 2157. She wrote, "Tommy found a real book." Look at the word real book. So you will, once we read the lesson, you will get to know what type of books they read. Real book mane, look at this book. Ami ita ene dhoroner kitab pohune kagozor and the words are printed on paper. So she's writing that today Tommy found a real book. It was a very old book. So what was the book like? It was a very old book. Puroni kitab. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. So, what is Margie telling us? That Margie's grandfather told her that when he was a little boy, his grandfather also told him that during his time, all the stories were printed on paper. Tamne Margieৰ ককাকে কি কৈছে যে when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him, তেতিয়া Margieৰ ককাকে কৈছে যে যেতিয়া তেওঁ সৰু ল'ৰা আছিল তেতিয়া তেওঁৰ ককাকে তেওঁ কৈছিল যে তেওঁলোকে পঢ়া দিনত কিতাপবোৰ কি প্ৰিন্ট কৰিছিল কাগজত। তাৰপিছত Margie and Tommy started looking at the book. সেই যে পুৰণি কিতাপখন পাইছে সেই কিতাপখন চোৱা আৰম্ভ কৰিলে। They turned the pages. So they started turning the pages, which were yellow and crinkly. So look at this book. This is a very old book. So kitabkhonor pagebur kenekwa asile, patbur kenekwa asile, yellow and crinkly. Yellow means it refers to the color of the page. Since it was a very old book, the pages had turned yellow and it was crinkly. Crinkly means it had lot of folds. Tamne bhaz loga. Okay? Kusmus khai thoka bhaz loga tenekwa iman puroni kitab. Look at the picture. So the pages of the old book were yellow and crinkly. Crinkly mane bhaz loga. And it was awfully funny. Awfully means it was very funny. Okay? Bahut besi ba matra thik. It was very funny, awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. So Margie and Tommy were very surprised when they looked at the old book. Why were they surprised? Because the words on the pages, it stood still, it did not move. তেওঁলোকে যেতিয়া কিতাপখন দেখিলে তেতিয়া খুব আচৰিত হৈ গ'ল। কিয় আচৰিত হ'ল যে দেখিলে যে পাতত যিবোৰ আখৰ দেখিছে আখৰবোৰ দেখোন লৰচৰ নকৰে। It stood still. They were not moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. Tahati telebook pohe moi jala pagore tumalok koisilu e-book, e-text or telebook. Telebook hoise the words keep moving on the screen. Thora computer screen but tele screen not words bur alphabets bur ki move kori thake. Lorsor kori akpis kori thake. But in a book the words will never move. Hane nahoy kitapotto words bur move nokore, it remains steady. So they were very surprised. Etu dekhi তেওঁলোকে খুব আচৰিত হ'ল and they found it funny. আৰু খুব ফুটি কৰিলে তেওঁলোকে হাঁহিলেও। And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had had when they read it the first time. And when they started to turn the pages and went back to the previous page, they found the same words that they had read. And so they were very surprised. Amar kitapor sabason patbur jeta ami lutia sao agor page porot ekekhini kothai thake kothabor to change nohoy hoyne because the letters are printed. they remained steady. So they found it very funny. তেওঁলোকে এইটো মানে খুব হাস্যকৰ বুলি ভাবিলে, কাৰণ তেওঁলোকৰ কি হয়, টেলিস্ক্ৰিনত কি হয়, the words keep on moving. ৱৰ্ডছবোৰ, শব্দবোৰ কি মুভ কৰি থাকে ন, স্ক্ৰীনত এটাৰ পিছত আন এটা শব্দ আহি থাকে, তেওঁলোকে পঢ়ে, স্ক্ৰল কৰিব পাৰে, আপ ডাউন কৰিব পাৰে, হয়নে নহয়? They can move to the next page and the words, they can scroll it and even the words used to move. So they found it very funny when the words did not move. কাৰণ printed যোনবোৰ আখৰ থাকে সেইবোৰেতো লৰচৰ বা মুভ কৰিব নোৱাৰে, isn't it? Okay. Gee, said Tommy, what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. So what is Tommy telling Margie? Tommy and Margie কি বুলি কৈছে? Is এনেকে কিতাপৰতো একো মূল্য নাই। যেতিয়া পঢ়া শেষ হ'ব, তেতিয়াতো মানুহে দলিয়াই পেলাই দিব। পঢ়ি শেষ হ'ল আৰুনো কি কৰিব কিতাপখন? তেতিয়া মানুহে পেলাই দিব। What a waste, সেই বুলি কৈছে। Our television screen must have had 1,000,000 books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. So what is plenty means lot, বহুত বেছি. Okay, so what is Tommy saying? যে আগতে কিতাপবোৰ চোৱাচোন এনেকে প্ৰিণ্ট কৰে, পঢ়া শেষ হোৱাৰ পিছত কিতাপখন কি কৰিব আৰু পেলাই দিব লাগিব। কিন্তু আমাৰ টেলিভিশ্যন স্ক্ৰীন বা যোনখন কম্পিউটাৰ স্ক্ৰীন য'ত তেওঁলোকে পঢ়ে, so what he is saying that we can download lots and lots of books, we can install new apps, হয়নে? কিমান যে কিতাপ তাতে ডাউনলোড কৰিব পাৰে, এপবোৰ ইনষ্টল কৰিব পাৰে। কৈছে আমিতো সেইখন কেতিয়াও পেলাই নিদিওঁ, সেই বুলি কৈছে। That means we are not going to throw the computer screen on the computer. I wouldn't throw it away. আমিতো পেলাই নিদিওঁ, সেই বুলি কৈছে। কিন্তু এই কিতাপখন পুৰণি, প্ৰিণ্টেড, পঢ়া হৈ গ'লেতো মানুহে কি কৰিব আৰু? They'll throw it. So they are discussing these things. এইবোৰ কথা মাৰ্গী আৰু টমিয়ে ডিছকাছ কৰি আছে। Same with mine, said Margie. So Margie কৈছে, oh, same with mine. মোৰো একেই হে বুলি কৈছে। তাই কৈছে যে মোৰো কম্পিউটাৰ স্ক্ৰীনত I have so many books, so many stories, so many lessons. ইমান বস্তু ছেভ কৰি থৈছোঁ, millions and millions of books and stories. সেইকাৰণে ময়ো কেতিয়াও পেলাই নিদিওঁ। She was 11. So now we know how old Margie was. So how old was Margie? Margie was 11 years old. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. So how old was Tommy? Tommy was 13 years old. So Margie had not seen as many telebooks as Tommy because she was younger. তাইৰ বয়সত সৰু আছিলে, তাই 11 বছৰ আৰু টমি 13 বছৰ। চ' টমি had seen more telebooks. টমিয়ে বেছি টেলিবুকছ দেখিছে আৰু পঢ়িছে। টেলিবুকছ মানে মই তোমালোকক কৈছোৱে ন, আমাৰ নৰ্মেল বুক, ৰেগুলাৰ বুক, আৰু তেহেঁতৰ টেলিবুক মানে আখৰবোৰ স্ক্ৰীণত অহা যোৱা কৰি থাকে, স্ক্ৰীণতেই তেহেঁতি যেনেকৈ কম্পিউটাৰ স্ক্ৰীণত তেনেকেই পঢ়ে। She said, where did you find it? Where did you find it? It মানে she's talking about the old book. So she's asking Tommy, where did you find the book? তুমি কিতাপখন ক'ত পালা? In my house. So he said, মোৰ ঘৰত পালো. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. So he was busy reading the কিতাপখন একদম মনোযোগ দি পঢ়ি আছিলে। Why? Because they had never seen such a book before. এনেকুৱা real book তাহাঁতি কেতিয়াও দেখা নাই। So he was busy reading the book. He was holding the book and reading it. আৰু তাই যেতিয়া সুধিলে ক'ত পাইছা, he said, in my house. আৰু ওপৰলৈ পইণ্ট কৰি কি কৈছে? In the attic. কৈছে মোৰ ঘৰৰ এটিকত পাইছোঁ। Now what is the meaning of attic? Attic means it's a place below the roof. Okay? ঘৰৰ roofৰ তলত এটা ঠাই থাকে, which is used as a storehouse. So attic মানে কি? Attic চাদৰ তলত থকা স্থান য'ত বস্তু ৰখাৰ বাবে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰা হয়। So he pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. So he said, I found the book in the attic of my house. Attic মানে বুজিছা ন? It's a space just below the roof to store things. চাদৰ তলত এটা ঠাই থাকে য'ত মানুহে এইটো ষ্ট'ৰ ৰুম হিচাপে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰে। What's it about? So Margie is asking Tommy, what's it about? So কিতাপখনৰ বিষয়টোনো কি? And he said, school. So Tommy told her that The book is about school. এই মানে কিতাপখন স্কুলৰ বিষয়ে. Margie was scornful. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. So, Margie, look at the word scornful. That means tasillapurna mane insulting Margie kole school. What's there to write about school? কিতাপখন স্কুলৰ বিষয়ে স্কুলৰ বিষয়েনো কি লিখিবলগীয়া আছে হেবলি মাৰ্গিয়ে টমিক কলে I hate school. মই স্কুল খুব বেয়া পাওঁ হেবলি কলে Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. So look at this line. Margie always hated school. Always means agor parai tai school khub beya pai. But now she hated it more than ever. But now at present she hated it even more. Tak agoteo tai school beya paisile kintu itia aru besi beya poa hol. Here there is a reason. So let's find out what the reason is. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography. Mechanical mane jantrik. So look at this. Now you will know the difference. So Margie and Tommy, they had mechanical teachers. And what do you have? Tumalokor ki ase? You have real teachers or you have humans who teach you. Tumalokor manohe pohai. Sir, madam e pohai hoy na nohoy. But they had mechanical teacher. So what is a mechanical teacher? It could be the computer screen that would give them instructions. They could hear the voice. Or it could be a robotic teacher who would teach them. But not a human being. তেওঁলোকৰ teacher asile mechanical. Okay? The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography. Tai school ajikali kiya besi beya pai? Tai mechanical teacher eta khodai etar pisot an eta ki geography test di thake. And she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. So the mechanical teacher was giving her test after test in geography and she was doing worse and worse. Teo tak geography etar pisot an eta test die asile aru tar porikha besi beya hoy goi asile. And what happened? Her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and the mother was like, oh no, mane make khub dukh sorrowfully mane she was very sad, okay? Sorrowfully. Dukhere. So sent for the county inspector. County inspector is a person who would come to fix the electronic problem. Kiba electronic problem hole thora virtual classroom tekhete ahi bostupur bhal kore. Teo koa hoise county inspector. So look at the picture of the county inspector and you can imagine, suppose this is the mechanical teacher. Just tumalokok khon photo di bujaisu aru it could be a robotic teacher or it could just be the computer screen or the smart board that would give them various instructions. Okay? মাকে কি যেতিয়া তাইৰ ইমান জিঅ'গ্ৰাফিত খুব বেয়া পাৰফৰ্মেন্স হৈ থাকিলে বেছি বেয়া হৈ গ'ল তেতিয়া মাকে কাউন্টি ইন্সপেক্টৰক মাতিলে যোনে এনেকুৱা টেকনিক্যাল প্ৰবলেমছবোৰ ভাল কৰি দিয়ে He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. So what did the county inspector look like? He was a round little man, okay? Sapor aru round. He was quite chubby and plump, okay? Hokotopod asile. With a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. Aru logot hodai eta box rakhisile. Boxot ki asile? Bibhinno tools, dials and wires. Why did he bring? To fix the problem. Problem pur solve technical problem, electronic jibur gadgets asile. He problem pur solve koribole he carried a box with him that contained tools, okay, with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple. So the county inspector smiled at Margie and what did he give her? He gave her an apple. Then took the teacher apart. Tapasot teacher ok loi gol. Teacher mane the mechanical teacher. Could be the robotic teacher or the computer where she studied. Okay. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again. So what did she hope? Tai ki aha korisil that he wouldn't know how to put it together again. তাই মানে একদম মনত ভাবিছিল তেওঁ যে ভাল কৰিব নোৱাৰে মেকানিকেল টিচাৰটো যেন ভাল কৰিব নোৱাৰে কাৰণ কিয় the school খুব বেয়া পাইছিলে কাৰণ তাৰ geography ইমান বেয়া হৈ আছিলে performance so she hoped that the county inspector would not be able to fix the problem তেওঁ যেন ভাল কৰিব নোৱাৰে হেবুলি তাই একদম আশা কৰি আছিলে but he knew how all right and after an hour or so there it was again but he was very smart he could fix the problem আৰু এঘণ্টা পিছতে তেওঁ মেকানিকেল টিচাৰজন ভাল কৰি দিলে প্ৰবলেমটো সলভ কৰি দিলে and there it was again she's talking about the huge computer screen or the huge smart board what was it as a mechanical teacher বুলি কৈছে what was it like it was back again আকৌ ভাল কৰি থৈ গল what was it like it was large and black and ugly it was large and black and ugly so the board was huge it was large black in color and very ugly with a big screen and there was a big screen. That was a mechanical teacher. You must have seen the smart boards, isn't it? This is a smart board, the huge board, okay? So it has a very big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. So the student could see all the questions on the board and all the lessons, they could see all the lessons on the board and the questions were also asked. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. মানে সেইখিনিলৈ ঠিকেই আছে সেইখিনি ইমান বেয়া পোৱা নাছিল কিন্তু আটাইতকৈ তাই কি বেয়া পাইছিলে the part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. So the thing that she hated the most was the slot. Slot means the place, okay? Hi. Where she had to put the homework and test papers. So the mechanical teacher also used to give her homework আৰু তাই যোনটো ঠাইত যোনটো প্লেচত স্লটত সেই হোমৱৰ্কবোৰ ছাবমিট কৰিব লাগিছিল সেই পাৰ্টটো তাইক আটাইতকৈ বেয়া পাইছিল she always had to write them out in a punch code okay so how did she write she wrote in a punch code এতিয়া আমি কেনেকৈ বা তোমালোকে as students how do you write you write the alphabets সৰুতে তোমালোকে alphabetবোৰ শিকিছা a b c d হয় না নহয় alphabets use কৰি তোমালোকে লিখা so 100-200 বছৰ পিছৰ কথা ন এইটো মানে ভৱিষ্যতৰ ষ্টৰী আমি পঢ়ি আছো so তেতিয়া তাই কেনেকৈ লিখিছিল she used to write in punch code কিছুমান কোড আছিলে সেইবোৰ তাই punch বা টাইপ কৰিছিল they made her learn when she was 6 years old so when Margie was only 6 years old, she learned the punch code and she used to use the punch code to submit her homework and test papers. তোমালোকে যিতৰে alphabet শিকা ন alphabet use কৰি তোমালোকে লিখা so এইটো ভৱিষ্যতৰ কাহিনী ন পিছত চাগে এনেকুৱা হ'ব বা মাৰ্গী হতৰ দিনত কি হৈছিলে 6 বছৰ বয়সতে তাই কি পাঞ্চ কোড এটা শিকিছিল আৰু সেইটো ব্যৱহাৰ কৰি তাই কি যোনটো মেকানিকেল টিচাৰ এটা স্লট থাকে তাতে হোমৱৰ্কবোৰ তেনেকৈ পাঞ্চ কোড ব্যৱহাৰ কৰি হোমৱৰ্কবোৰ ছাবমিট কৰিছিল homework and test papers and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time calculated the marks in no time ইয়াৰ অৰ্থটো কি ক্যালকুলেটেড যেতিয়া তাই হোমৱৰ্কটো সাবমিট কৰি দিয়ে ইমিডিয়েটলি মেকানিক্যাল টিচাৰে কি ৰিজাল্টটো দি দিয়ে সো হোৱাট ইজ দ্য ডিফাৰেন্স তোমালোকৰ কি হয় তোমালোকৰ পৰীক্ষা লিখা ইউ ৰাইট অন পেপাৰ্স হয়নে দেন ইউ সাবমিট ইয়োৰ টিচাৰ কালেক্টস দ্য পেপাৰ্স সো এটলিষ্ট 7 দিন 1 উইক সময় লয় ন 5 to 7 days তাৰ পিছতহে তোমালোকে ৰিজাল্টটো পোৱা অলপটো সময় পোৱা ন ৰিলেক্স and then you keep thinking যে কিমান বা নম্বৰ পাম কেনেকুৱা বা হৈছে so you have some kind of curiosity some expectation surprise element এটা থাকে কিন্তু মাৰ্গেৰ তেনেকুৱা আছে নে নাই হয়নে immediately পৰীক্ষা যেতিয়া তাই দিলে হোমৱৰ্ক কৰিলে বা টেষ্ট পেপাৰ্স পৰীক্ষা দিলে she had to submit it in a particular slot in a punch code and immediately she would get her marks কাৰণ এটো mechanical teacher হে marks to calculate কৰে human teacher হলে মানুহে যেটা মানুহে correct কৰে অলপ সময় লাগে হয়নে it's mechanical it's a machine so immediately she would get the marks আমাৰ ইটা লাহেলে এনেকুৱা হৈছে তোমালোকে দেখিছা ন OMR বোৰ কম্পিউটাৰত চেক কৰে হয়নে? So অলপ চাগে তোমালোকে বুজি পাইছা আৰু at least you can relate to something. So immediately she would get the mark. বুজি পালা? So we have come to the end of the part 1. এতিয়া part 1 ইয়াতে আমি শেষ কৰিছো. Next classত part 2 কৰিম. So আশা কৰোঁ তোমালোকে part 1 টো বুজি পাইছা. So আজি আমি কি পঢ়িলো? We studied about Margie and Tommy. Okay? They are students. Margie is 11 years old and Tommy is 13 years old. And this story is set in the future, ahead of our time, more than 100 years. Okay? 100 or 200 years পিছত আমাৰ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাটো কেনেকুৱা হ'ব বা হ'ব পাৰে সেই ধৰণৰ এটা science fiction. So one day what happened? Margie wrote in her diary that Tommy found a real book and they were very excited. Okay, because they had never seen a real book, a printed book, words which were printed on papers. They had never seen such a book before. So they were very surprised and they also found it very funny. Why did they find it funny? They found it funny because the words stood still. It did not move the way the words used to move in the tally books of Margie and Tommy. And the book was very old. It was yellow. The pages were yellow and crinkly. Means there were a lot of folds in the pages as it was very old. Then Margie was very curious. She was only 11 years old. So she asked Tommy, now what is the book about? Then Tommy told her that it's about school. Then Margie told him, oh, what's there to write about school? I hate going to school. So why does she hate going to school? Later on, when we read the lesson, we came to know that she hated school because her geography teacher, the mechanical teacher, was giving her test in geography. Okay, and every time he gave her test, she would get very poor or bad marks. Okay, she was getting worse and worse. So she was very sad. Even her mother was very worried. So her mother called the county inspector. He was a round little man. He was a fat guy. Okay, a very friendly one. He came with the box. He gave Margie an apple and then he took the mechanical teacher and within an hour he could fix the problem and the mechanical teacher was back. And what was the mechanical teacher like? It was a large, huge screen, okay, black and ugly, okay, and she could see all the lessons on the screen, all the questions, okay. And what did she hate the most about school? The thing that she hated most was the slot where she had to enter the homework and the test papers, okay. And how did she do that? When she was 6 years old, Margie learned the punch code, and using the punch code, she would submit her homework and the test papers. And during those days, what will happen? The mechanical teacher would immediately calculate the marks. So, তোমালোকে কি ভাবা? So, how do you feel? That তোমালোকে চিটৰে পঢ়ি আছা, that is more interesting, or how Margie studies, that is more interesting. You must have seen she's all alone and it's a mechanical teacher who teaches her. But you go to a school, you sit with your friends, you can play with your friends, and there's a human teacher who teaches you. You can interact with your teachers, okay? তেনেহ'লে তোমালোকে ভাবি চোৱাচোন কোনটো বেছি ভাল লাগে, হয়নে? So we have come to the end of part 1. Next আকৌ আমি continue কৰিম in part 2. So now let me ask you a few questions just to see if you have understood the lesson. So পাঠটি তোমালোকে বুজি পাইছানে নাই চাব লাগিব, হয়নে? So I'll ask you a few questions. একদম simple questions কিছুমান সুধিম, তোমালোকে চেষ্টা কৰিবা. How old was Margie? Margieৰ বয়স কিমান? Yes, you were right. She was 11 years old. Margie was 11. Okay, Margie today 11. Tommy kiman boyoh monot asene? Tommy was 13. Okay. What did Tommy find? Tommy edin ki bostrota bisari paisil? A robotic teacher, county inspector, a real book, tally book. Yes, he found a real book. Number 3. Where did Tommy find the real book? Real book kon Tommy e kot bisari paisil? Attic, bedroom, classroom, or library? Do you remember where he found the book? He found the book in the attic of his house. And I already told you what is an attic. It is a space just below the roof to store things. It is used as a storeroom. তাৰমানে চাদৰ তলতে এডোখৰ ঠাই থাকে storeroom নিচিনা তাত মানুহে বস্তুবোৰ থয়. So students, we have come to the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed reading the lesson and understood it. So I will see you again in the next class. Until then, take care. Thank you.